Lego fans, Star Wars fans, welcome to Low Bricks, the YouTube video series where we are building a Tattooine diorama on an old barf-ridden beer pong table that's quickly being transformed into Tatooine. So in the last episode, we started our mountain build. We built the canyon with Ben Kenobi's hut overlooking Mos Eisley. It actually didn't overlook Mos Eisley in the movie, but we're combining a few things. So this week, we're trying to decide what to do. Do we keep building mountains? Do we move on to Mos Eisley or another part of Tatooine? But I really wanted to review the 20th anniversary Slave 1 Lego kit, which, in my personal opinion, is probably the best Father's Day present I ever received. That's not true. So I'm a little biased in this review. But before we get to that, I thought you'd really like this musical interlude flyby of an update of where we are on the Tattooine diorama. So, have a look. That was just beautiful, wasn't it? Those guys that built that must be real geniuses. Sorry. Okay. Anyways, on to the Slave 1 review. Hope you get some value on it, and I actually have a few questions. Hope you guys give me some feedback. I'm an old guy playing with Legos, so right out of the gate, you probably know more about the Slave 1 and Lego Star Wars than me, but have a look. All right, so here is a review of the 20th anniversary edition Slave 1, set number 75243. 1,007 pieces, retails for about $119, 120-ish, which comes in at about 12 cents a piece. And this is one of 5 of the 20th anniversary sets. The original Slave 1 set came out in the year 2000. It was set number 7144. It wasn't a great Slave 1. It was kind of an early attempt. Granted, it only had 165 pieces, and the Han Solo looks like he's just printed on the Han Solo. I wouldn't call it a minifigure, but the frozen Han Solo looks like he's just painted on a brick. So definitely a huge upgrade over that set. So let's walk through a couple of things on this. Some of which I like, some of which I don't like, but on the whole, this is probably one of my favorite Lego sets that I've ever received, and I got it for Father's Day, so even better. Right, let's start with the ship itself. A couple of features that I really like, and what I noticed almost immediately was very sturdily put together. But probably the coolest thing is it actually has wing articulation, and it's almost natural with gravity. When it takes off, they swing out. When you land, they go flat again. And on the back, it's a fold-up handle, so you can hold onto it and fly it yourself. And of course, no ship would be complete without some shooting lasers that back in the 1980s were a choking hazard, and I couldn't have that as a kid. So now kids are allowed to choke themselves, which I don't think they will. I think that was a little overprotective. Let's take a look at some of the features on the front and the back. The articulating guns, the engines, and the buttons to fire the lasers. I had already mentioned the articulating wings, and here is the cockpit. The cockpit is just a brick that comes out. It's a little clunky. One thing I wasn't crazy about is how easy this falls off when you're playing with it. But I think they wanted basically this is very playable. So with the handle in the back and the ease of use to get the minifigure in and out with Boba Fett, I think that's why they just wanted the cockpit very easy to remove. I also like the little swinging chair that Boba Fett sits in. And speaking of Boba Fett, let's take a look at the minifigures. Well, first of all, Boba Fett himself, very good coloring, comes with an antenna and a 2-part gun, and a very cool side cape, which I found interesting. Also, I finally found out what these are. They're actually visors. They came with Clone Trooper battle packs in the past, according to my son. So actually, a little bag came with 4 antennas and 4 visors in this set. So finally found out what those little pieces are. So let's take a look at the other minifigures that come with this set. You have 2 more of the bounty hunters from Empire Strikes Back that were on the deck of the Star Destroyer, which is Forlom and Zuckuss. In addition to, you remember IG-88, Boba Fett himself. And IG-88 recently has gotten back to popularity as IG-11 in Mandalorian. Of course, it comes with a unfrozen Han Solo and a frozen Han Solo. One thing my son also told me, which I didn't know, was on the back, there are 2 little handles in the frozen Han Solo. You actually can put, oh, his hair fell off, but you can actually put Han Solo inside. It also shows you the smirk face, smiley face Han Solo. So, kind of a neat little feature. And let's not forget the Princess Leia 20th anniversary minifigure, an exact replica of the minifigure that came out in 2000, which one other thing that my encyclopedia of knowledge son told me was minifigures back then were all yellow. That's why her face and hands are yellow. There's actually 4 other 20th anniversary minifigures. I actually have the Pod Race set, which came with Luke Skywalker. So I got Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia. I believe that one is 75258, if I'm not mistaken. And one cool thing about the instruction manual, which is very nicely done for the 20th anniversary, but it shows you all of the 5 sets that come with the minifigures. Speaking of the instructions, this is a pretty fat book. It took me about, and again, I'm old, don't have great small motor skills, so it took me about 2 hours to put this together. So might take you youngsters a lot, might get it done a lot quicker. That's just how long it took me. So once again, and on the whole, I'm really happy with this set. Again, I am biased. I'm 50, and I was about 11 years old in 1981 when Empire Strikes Back came out. So also in the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back, that movie has a special place in my heart, but I've always had an affinity for the Slave One. My older son wasn't crazy about the design. I always thought it was kind of a very neat design, especially how it lands and takes off. So that's it for the review. A couple of questions I have, which I'll tackle separately, was I believe there was an actual IG-88 minifigure. I'm going to Google that, but I know there was a couple of questions about were there decent builds of all the bounty hunters. So I have seen an IG-88, but what about Bosk? And for those of you who don't know Bosk, he was the kind of lizard-like orange fellow bounty hunter that was in Empire Strikes Back. So I'd love to get a Bosk minifigure, kind of to wrap up the bounty hunter collection. And another question was, I believe in Jabba's palace there also was a frozen Han Solo, but I wasn't sure if it was the same one. I know this one has little handles to carry on and off the Slave One, but I'm just curious if it's the same kind of impression, so I'm going to look that up as well. So that's about it for the Slave One review. On the whole, one of my favorite sets. Don't know about all time, but oh, and there was one other question. Thought this was a little weird. This is actually a sticker. Now, I believe we got this one at Target, and I don't know if there was some sort of mistake. You can actually see the writing behind it. It's a little hard to see on the camera. So I don't know if they got the piece size wrong. Looks like the number was exactly the same. So that was a little odd. So I wonder this is a special version or just a mistake was made on this particular box. All right, well, that's it for this week, for this episode. Join us next week. We're going to get back to building the diorama and have to talk to my assistant, my son, about what we want to work on next. Could be mountains, Mos Eisley, Jabba, other things. Anyways, you'll have to wait to find out. So if you liked the video, please hit like below, subscribe to us, and any comments or feedback, we really appreciate it. And if you have some answers to the questions I asked in the review, that'd be great too. So we'll see you next time, and have a great week.